Jane and Richard were entangled in a clandestine affair. Richard, a man bound by marriage, sought solace and excitement in the company of Jane, his neighbor. Their secret trysts, hidden from the prying eyes of their suburban existence, were a dangerous dance of desire and deception. Before their planned weekend escape to a remote cabin, a local pilot, a shadowy figure in their narrative, offered them peyote, a potent hallucinogen, a promise of heightened sensations and a deeper connection. Upon arriving at their secluded retreat, a sense of anticipation hung in the air. The next morning, Jane, parched and seeking refreshment, found the fridge sparsely stocked. As she quenched her thirst with water, she was startled by the presence of two men, their gazes unsettlingly intense. Richard's reaction, a flicker of disappointment, revealed their identities: Stan and Demi, his friends, uninvited guests in their private world. The atmosphere shifted, the intimacy shattered. Richard, attempting to smooth over the intrusion, introduced Jane to his companions. As night descended, a forced camaraderie took hold, a party fueled by alcohol and underlying tension. Stan and Demi's eyes lingered on Jane, their interest palpable. Richard, sensing the shift in dynamics, warned them of the peyote's potency, its potential for harm. He then subtly directed Jane to conceal it, a task she accomplished by hiding it within her locket. The party continued, a whirlwind of music and movement. Stan, drawn to Jane's energy, joined her on the dance floor. His attraction was immediate and consuming, a primal urge to possess her. The night wore on, and as dawn approached, Jane sought a moment of respite outside. Stan, ever watchful, informed her of Richard's absence, claiming he had gone to the market, and Demi's lingering hangover. Jane, distracted by her phone, felt the weight of Stan's unwavering stare, a silent invasion of her personal space. Seeking refuge, Jane retreated indoors, intending to prepare for her departure. As she began to change, Stan brazenly entered her room, violating her privacy. His words, a thinly veiled attempt at seduction, were met with Jane's firm rejection. Stan's demeanor darkened, his ego bruised. He demanded an explanation, and Jane, in a moment of defiance, mocked his physical stature. This insult ignited his anger, and he seized her, his actions forceful and aggressive. Demi's arrival offered a fleeting glimpse of hope, but he merely observed, a silent accomplice in the violation. Richard's return brought a deceptive calm. Sensing the tension, he questioned the situation, and Stan offered a dismissive explanation. Richard, however, sought the truth from Jane. Shaken and violated, she demanded to leave, revealing Stan's assault. Richard's response was not one of support, but of denial and argument, a betrayal that cut deeper than any physical wound. Later, Richard attempted to appease Jane, offering her a substantial sum of money, a means to disappear, to erase the events of the night. Jane, however, refused to be silenced, threatening to expose his infidelity. Richard's reaction was swift and brutal, a violent slap that shattered any remaining illusion of compassion. Terrified, Jane fled the cabin, pursued by the three men. Cornered at the edge of a precipice, she faced the ultimate betrayal. Richard, feigning remorse, lured her into a false sense of security before pushing her off the cliff. Her fall was brutal, her body impaled on a broken tree branch. Richard, witnessing her apparent demise, coldly justified his actions, claiming it was a necessary act of self-preservation. He orchestrated a cover-up, instructing Stan and Demi to fabricate a hunting accident. Miraculously, Jane survived, her body riddled with injuries, her spirit fueled by a burning desire for revenge. She used her lighter to cauterize her wound, freeing herself from the tree. She began her arduous journey, her movements driven by a primal need for justice. As the men searched for her, their arrogance and assumptions blinded them to her resilience. Jane, using her surroundings to her advantage, evaded their pursuit. Demi, caught off guard, became her first target. Jane, finding his gun empty, was beaten, but then used a knife to kill him. She then took his vehicle and fled. Running out of gas, she found shelter in a cave, using Demi's supplies to survive. She used the peyote to dull the pain as she removed the shard of wood from her wound and then cauterized it with a hot beer can. As dawn broke, she prepared for her retribution. Richard, discovering Demi's body, realized Jane's survival and her thirst for revenge. He and Stan disposed of the body, but Richard, in a fit of anger, punched Stan, blaming him for their predicament. They split up to search for Jane. Jane, spotting them from a distance, targeted Stan. She wounded him with a gunshot, but he escaped. She tracked him, but he managed to hide. He then ambushed her, but she used broken glass to injure him. He tried to run her down with his car, but she killed him. Richard, returning to their meeting point, realized Stan was dead. He went home, called his pilot, and then took a shower. He then found Jane in his house, and she shot him. A gunfight ensued and Richard fled. Jane tracked him down, and they fought. Richard was able to pin her down, but she used her hand to reopen his wound and then shot him dead. Jane, having exacted her revenge, left the cabin, her actions a testament to her strength and resilience. She had transformed from a victim into an avenger, delivering a brutal form of justice. Jane's journey was far from a simple act of retribution. It was a visceral transformation. The idyllic weekend getaway had shattered, replaced by a brutal landscape of survival and vengeance. The peyote, initially a symbol of shared intimacy, became a tool for enduring unimaginable pain, a hallucinogenic shield against the agony of her wounds.